right, another episode of the Cedric Maxwell Podcast. I am Josue Pavon. He is Cedric Maxwell. Happy holidays to everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying this time with their family. So we had to give you a brand new episode, right? You can gather around the kids. You know, we'll keep this up somewhat PG, I guess. I mean, it's never PG with you. So
Okay.
we'll try. This is our best attempt, right?
Yeah.
The Boston Celtics, back to their winning ways. You know, they flip-flop this season, right, Max? I mean, it's a 500 team at the end of the day overall. We'll get into that, you know, the true identity of this team and if they truly are a 500 team. But let's keep things on the bright side. You know, coming off this win against the Cleveland Cavaliers, a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference, you know, Jaylen Brown, another terrific performance. Ever since he's come back into the fold, you know, he seems like he's found his groove here, Max. But the news dropped that Joe Johnson before tip-off. And Max, and his true ways, for the guy who got drafted 20 years before this performance, you know, back in the Boston Celtics uniform, I got to ask you, what did you say to him? Because I couldn't make out exactly what, you know, through the Zoom press conference, pregame press conference, I couldn't make out exactly what you were saying. But, like, what did you say to him that had him cracking up so much before putting back on that Celtics uniform and getting back out there?
I was laughing. He was actually in a closed news conference. It was himself and
I was in that via Zoom.
Reporters, and they were all hanging out, and they were asking him a couple questions. So I was looking for him and found him in that room. And I walked in and I said, "The real 31 is up in here." And I said that not about me being the real 31, but I was more referring to the fact that Joe Johnson initially, when he came to the Boston Celtics, that's the number that he wore. And so throughout the years, when we traded Joe to Phoenix, then to Atlanta, every place he's played, I'd always come up to him and he'd always tell me about his teammates. He'd come in and tell his teammates, "See, they already retired my jersey already here." That was the number I wore right there, 31. So we've always had a chuckle and a laugh about it. And I was just kind of just poking fun at him. I was just happy that he was back and more surprised when you think about a guy his age at 40 years old. I'm sure he never thought that he'd get a call from the Boston Celtics to come back and play in a real NBA game, along with several other people.
It's an incredible story, Max. I mean, have you seen anything like it? And for a team that, you know, 20 years after they drafted you to come back and at 40 years old go out there and he stayed true to his name, right? He was a bucket. He got a bucket.
I think
unbelievable.
The only time we've seen stuff like that has been when a guy comes back after he's been in the league so long and comes back to say, "Oh, this is it. I'm retiring as a Celtic." But he's coming back to get a 10-day contract. And you don't see that kind of stuff happen with players normally. Like, and when they come back, they're done. Joe Johnson came back and scored a bucket, and the fans absolutely went crazy. They acknowledged the kind of player he's been, and him being with this franchise already. And there was a certain point last night when the game was all but over. The fans started chanting, "We want Joe. We want Joe." And
he said that meant a lot to him.
Send him in and he touched the basketball the first time, people going crazy. Touched it the second time, just did the right thing. But the third time he got it, Joe Johnson, true to himself, went out, got a pick and roll, and got a bucket with a fall-away jump shot.
Well, what was your media reaction to the news? Because obviously it says a lot about Joe Johnson and what he means to Ime Udoka and the Celtics. But what do you think a move like this means? You know, what does it say about Ime and his coaching staff and direction the Celtics are going in?
It didn't say as much to me about the coaching staff. It just told me much more about the times we're in. When you look at the number of guys who are coming back in this league and are playing in the NBA now, it doesn't seem as much about the coaching staff, Ime's style. It says more about the times we're living in, that you have to go back and recycle a player that you had 20 years ago. And if you haven't been out of the league that long, man, Brad Stevens asked me, he said, "Well, Max, you still think you got it?" I was like, "Hell to the no. I don't have anything, bro. I got nothing for you, Brad. I can't even run down." I told you the story. I was in Los Angeles,
basketball,
and I couldn't even cross. I was trying to cross the street, and start running because I was in the number, it got down to 0, and I'm like, okay, I'll sprint across here. Sprinting across turned about like, okay, walking fast with hand out, telling cars to slow down.
Yeah, what did your niece say? What did your niece say about that? What did your niece? Your niece said they was enjoying that, right?
Knees, everything.
Look, the Joe Johnson story obviously is great. The fact that it was 2000s night, it had that like nostalgic feeling in the air. They had the old school intros, from that season. It was all fitting, and of course the Celtics came out victorious. I mean, Jaylen Brown's been on a streak here. I love the fact that these guys, him and Jaylen and Joe Johnson, they both worked out together over the summertime. They both talked about that after that win from the Celtics. I mean, this is a great story for not only Joe Johnson, but now you have someone in the locker room with experience that can share that knowledge and that wisdom with someone like Jaylen Brown, who's really found his stride right now.
I think it all, a lot of the positive things are coming out of this. When you can bring a veteran player back in that knows the game. This guy was an 8-time All-Star or something All-Star.
Right.
He left Boston. You send him away. He goes to Phoenix. He stays there, and then end up going to Atlanta. And he was up in Paul Pierce. One of the signature crossovers you've seen over the last couple of years was the fact when Joe Johnson had a low dribble, Paul Pierce went to make the steal. And Paul Pierce had Paul Pierce on his knees.
Yo, man, we don't talk about that.
Johnson,
we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
Man, Joe Johnson hits a 15-foot jump shot. And the crowd, we were in Boston.
Listen, I was there. I was there as a fan. Yeah, this is before my reporting days. I took that in as a fan. So I remember.
All it was, woo. And it was just like, Paul, he broke Paul down so bad that his teammates kind of went, woo.
Yeah.
It was cool.
You like to use that reference. What is it? The first time Ali got hit, or the first time you see your guy, you start thinking, man, maybe he's aging a bit. That was that moment for me right there. Taking that in live, I was like, okay, Paul, he's aging now. He's in a different stage now.
Your heroes all of a sudden can't do what they did before. As you said, like Muhammad Ali, knocking out everybody, or when you see guys starting to get older, they don't have the fastball.
The first time Tyson got hit.
You see all these things that happen, and you're going, Father Time again has won that match, and you can see Paul Pierce on the other side of it. I saw Kevin Garnett on the other side of it when he went to Brooklyn, when he finally left here. Here's a powerful player that left here, and he was virtually a shell once he got to Brooklyn. Brooklyn to give the Celtics 3 first-round draft choices unconditional for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. They were reading their clippings. It wasn't about what they were doing at that time, but they were reading their clippings and thought that those two guys could kind of take them over the hump. And history says that Kevin Garnett essentially was done, and Paul wasn't. Paul had a little bit more left in the tank. Because he ended up going down to Washington and playing there.
That was a good season for him.
And then once he got to the Clippers, I think you looked at Paul Pierce the same way you looked at Kevin, like, as they would say back in the day when you were around, last call for alcohol.
The last round. That's what that was. Yeah, for real. But it happened quickly. It crept up. Rajon Rondo going down didn't help things, of course, and into the new chapter of the Celtics franchise. But the way things are right now, Max, because think about it. This is always the time of the year where you start to sort of take inventory as to where this team stands, right? Christmas break, it's not quite the halfway mark, but you sort of have an idea of what the roster is about, what the identity is about. How do you feel about this team at this point, right? 500, smack middle 500, sort of out of the playoff picture, in the playoff bubble. But how are we feeling about this team right now? I mean, it's kind of an interesting spot because you got Jason Tatum coming off being player of the week. You got Jaylen Brown turning into 30-plus point performances, but this team is still 500, and they still have a tough schedule ahead of them that starts on Christmas Day against the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, how do you feel about this roster right now?
I think it's about like those tests you used to take back in the day, or I took in the day when they give you a test paper, came back and was not an F, not an A, not a B, incomplete. And that's what you look at this team and you're going pretty much incomplete. And I don't think you're going to know as much about this team until all these circumstances. I don't think you're going to know about this year until we actually read about it years from now. You think about it with this team right now going through COVID and Al and all the guys who had it, and Jalen and Tatum and Brown. You look at all these guys who had COVID and gone through it. This team, collectively, if you look at this team, not bad. I mean, I don't think this is a championship team, but a team that to me is going to be a solid playoff team. And if they can get through this rough patch of games that they have, Tatum has turned into Tatum again when you watch him. Brown has been really good. It's going to be those ancillary pieces. What happens with Al Horford when he comes back? He has played really, it's just all these things that you look at and say, okay, what can this team do? Richardson has been really good. You're starting to see Pritchard turn the corner. A little bit of Neesmith at time for time. So just a lot of different things kind of up and down. And, Rob Williams is a key to what they do, but can he stay healthy? And that's going to be a whole nother issue.
Right. See, that's why it's so hard to tell where this team should go in terms of personnel-wise, right? I still think there's plenty of time here. Well, maybe not plenty of time because 2 weeks can go really fast in the NBA, but I think that's sort of where this team stands in the sense of where they need to go and what direction in terms of making a deal. Now, I still think a potential deal, which I thought it was fitting to see Joe Johnson back. I used this in the Celtics post game or the Garden Report Celtics post game show, after the game. And I'm like, man, look, let me take you back at the time about 20 years ago. I may be aging myself a bit, but Joe Johnson he was around for about 6 months. He was traded for a couple of pieces, right? Those pieces were Tony Delk and Rodney Rogers. Now, these are two pieces that the Celtics wanted to have going into the playoffs. Two pieces that they thought could push them over the edge and make them an NBA Finals appearance, right? So fast forward 20 years later, I mean, the Celtics, I think if they can try to sort of move one of these pieces, whether it's one of these younger guys and Neesmith or Romeo, obviously it's hard to tell where their value is right now, but moving one of those pieces to consolidate that into bringing in someone that can actually, be like a fifth or sixth option, someone that can give you something on both ends of the floor. Do you think that's a potential possibility? Do you think Brad Stevens is looking into something like that?
I think Brad has to be looking at everything now. And Brad, to me, would know more about, who he'd want to trade and who would be good for this team because he was a guy who's had this team, coached him for the last 6-7 years. And so he knows more about the deficiencies and he knows more about the strengths of this team. So if anybody's going to make a move, I think Brad Stevens would be more informed than anybody else around. Even if it's a general manager right now. Danny Ainge, as much as he was around, Brad has more hands-on with experience with the guys that he has now than anybody else. And then you look at it, you never can tell. Look what happened the other day when Kemba came back. Everybody said, Kemba's done. What did he drop? 30 up in the building or close to it? And, they had him essentially on the bench in New York.
Now it seems like he's going to be getting more playing time because Derrick Rose going to be sidelined for a bit, so he's going to have more of an opportunity there to show what he's worth right now. But yeah, that's an interesting example. But Max, I mean, if you're in Brad Stevens' seat, what would you do? How do you feel about this roster right
now? Here's the thing: if I'm Brad Stevens, I'm looking at this team and saying, okay, what can I do to put this team in the best position right now to win a championship, to compete in that level? The thing you saw when you played against Philadelphia is you don't have a dominant big. And I mean a big who can score the back. Joel Embiid tore the Celtics a new one in that game. And because of that, that's why to me, and you always laugh at me, but that's why I'm such a big Karl Anthony Towns guy.
No, here we go again.
Well, I'm just saying what he.
It's not that I'm not. No, wait, hold on. Don't change the narrative now. I don't laugh at you when you say this. I just don't. I think it's a little okay. I want to see what these guys got.
There's nothing premature about it. Because
I want to see what Jalen and
how
Tatum have.
about this?
Yeah.
How about this is
What do you
what
mean?
I'll ask you. The way this team is right now, all pieces playing well together. Is this team a championship team?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, if they're not a championship team, and if they're a team that is a play-in team, then that means you're in no man's land. You're not bad enough to get a really good player in the draft, and you're not good enough to advance in the playoffs. So you're kind of in the middle, and nobody wants that position.
So you think they'll stay here though? I guess that's ultimately the question, to answer, right? Or better yet, can this team actually make it to the NBA Finals at least? Do you think they're that good? Can they win an Eastern Conference championship?
I think that was for me, and I said it early on. I think their best case scenario would be getting to the finals, and that means that they
with this roster right now.
Yeah, they would have to beat a Brooklyn somehow. They'd have to beat Philly in the 7-game series. They would have to beat Miami in the 7-game series. One of these teams, one of these really good teams is playing well. You have to beat them. And even look at Cleveland. Cleveland was the third best team in the Eastern Conference right now.
They're looking good right now.
The 7-game series, can you beat this team if everybody's healthy? And that's it. I applaud the commissioner right now and what he did. He said, look, nah, we ain't stopping it for a week. We ain't stopping it for a month. He said, because he said it best. He said, COVID's going to be around. It's not going to leave. So we're going to have to adjust, all our players. Matter of fact, the game that they're having, and as a broadcaster, I have the Christmas Day game. And we're actually doing the game from the studio here in Boston.
Which I'm sure you're bummed about. I can imagine you're bummed out about that, right, man?
But what they're saying now is that the commissioner
not going to
said
Milwaukee.
All teams that are playing on that day, be ready for an adjustment. So our game, instead of being at 2:30, we could play a 5:00 game, or we could play a later game. It just depends on how the NBA feels about the teams who are out there and what's the best product. You think about it. The best product you have right now on Christmas Day is going to be Phoenix and Golden State. That's going to be the best game.
Right.
Because the two best teams playing. After that, you think about, okay, the Lakers are playing, but there's no Anthony Davis, and how many will they lose by then? The Celtics are healthy. Milwaukee, do they have Giannis? Do they have?
No, yeah. Giannis looks like he's probably not going to.
Well, if Giannis isn't going to play, is that one of the games is that a marquee game you want to see at 2:00? So, I think anything can happen. That's what's so crazy about this league and the times we're living in.
I just would like to see the Celtics just add another piece that's about this year, right? Like, everyone's wondering what's going to happen within the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. Are they going to make a move? Is this roster going to stay the same?
How do you do that without making a trade, Josue?
But that's what I'm talking about, Max. That's what I'm about to get to. If you can package one of these younger guys, whether it's an Aaron Nesmith, and you can package it with a couple of first-round picks and bring a piece in here that can make an immediate effect. Look, I'm not talking about someone that's going to be, to complete a big three, a new big three. No, I think aiming that high would mean trading someone like Smart, trading someone like Brown, or someone else like that. I'm talking about bringing in a guy that can give you scoring and a little bit on the defensive end. I mean, look, there's a couple of options out there. Whether we're talking about, look, I like Buddy Hield, okay? Sherrod Blakely doesn't like my ideas, and he's not a huge fan of the Buddy Hield one. But I like someone like Buddy Hield.
I guarantee the Lakers are fond of that idea. They would love. They wish they had made that trade. But I mean,
yeah, I'm sure they're looking back on it.
Buddy Hield for who? Who are you gonna send out there that Golden State, that Sacramento is gonna say, hey, yeah, we're fighting on that. Who?
This would be pick based, right? You got. I would send. This is me, right?
Yeah.
I would send a couple of future firsts. Hernan Gomez. This is the match contracts, right? You got Josh Richardson in the deal, and Aaron Nesmith. Now with Aaron Nesmith, that could be a piece for the future. You'll find out whether that's true or not within the next year or so. Now, the best part of this deal, Max, is all three of those guys, their contracts expire in a couple of seasons. So you're going to have a chunk of change to spend in the free agency market come 2023. Not next summer, but come 2023. So you'd have to wait a bit. But if the Sacramento Kings are selling out parts the way some people are, speculating, then I think this sort of falls in their plan, right? You grab a couple of future first-round picks. You grab someone like Aaron Nesmith, and you have a couple, you have some dollars to spend in the next couple of summers. All right. So for Buddy Hield,
I would think that you would, that if I'm Sacramento, I'd want more, because there are a lot of teams out right now who are going to be buyers. There are teams right now who have to be buyers. I mean, if you are, how about this? Would you send Buddy Hield to the Lakers for Westbrook? Would you do that if you're Sacramento? You're going, nah, I wouldn't do that at all.
Now, give me Aaron Nesmith. I like that Nesmith kid from Boston.
Nesmith for Buddy Hield. You really think that they're gonna bite on that one?
Listen. The way this works for the Celtics is if they strike out with other teams. Because think about it. At the end of the day, Lakers are gonna make that deal, but what other teams can trump that type of offer, or at least maybe it's somewhere around the same vicinity of what the Celtics are offering. We'll see.
I'm telling you,
it's just one example, Max. That's my guy, but there's other guys out there. People talking about Karis LeVert. People talking about Cam Reddish in Atlanta. So there's other. Pieces.
I think that these are ancillary pieces, and if you're gonna do something, you got to do something in a major way.
But will that push them over the edge?
I know you have.
You think a piece does that?
Right now, you have two untouchables. You have Brown and Tatum. You said, nope. We know that Tatum's not going any place. Are you willing to use Brown as trade bait?
Not yet.
Yeah, now let me say this, my friend. You ain't getting too much out of that deal from nobody else.
Come on.
You got to give up one of your assets. I mean, you think about it. When the Lakers went out, it was a bad trade, but when the Lakers went out and got Westbrook, what did they give up?
Oh, a lot.
Hell of a lot.
A stack. Kuzma, picks, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
Krez.
Picks, they got money. I mean,
the Wizards got themselves. The Wizards traded for a whole supporting cast. That's what they did.
Yeah, Washington got two really good players.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma has played well down there. You think about, and that is one of those things you look at and going, okay, but if you're the Celtics right now, you don't have a major piece that you're giving up that other teams are going to look at, unless it's the potential of Rob Williams, and you're going to have your Marcus Smart or Brown. You got three guys that could possibly get you something in that neighborhood, but you're going to have to give up one of those three guys, and the guy who would be pushing more power than anybody would be Brown.
Yeah, for sure. No question, Max. All right, man, you brought up the Lakers. So before we wrap things up, man, let's talk a little bit about Isaiah Thomas. He signed, speaking of people getting a 10-day contract, Isaiah Thomas got himself a 10-day with the Los Angeles Lakers, going out there. And what is he dropping damn near 19 points in his Lakers? I was gonna say debut, but in his Lakers return rather. How do you feel about this, man? What was your reaction? Are you surprised by this?
And
he showed out the G League, the G League showcase.
Lost by how many?
What's up?
And the Lakers lost by how many?
They lost by, it was in double digits. I don't know exactly, but it was double digits. They got it.
I just think all that's a Band-Aid, and it is this era. It's the Joe Johnson era. It is the Isaiah era, because of COVID, has allowed the door to be open for guys who essentially were out of this league and weren't going anyplace. I can't believe right now, and as much as I've always talked about him, I like him, that Sullinger. I think he was the guy who wanted desperately to be on the team. And I'd love to have him for the Celtics, but here he went back to China. And I'm sure he has a contract that he can't leave, or you have to pay a hell of a lot of money. But guys like that, they could help your position, help your team.
You know what? You bring up. I'm glad you just brought up Sullinger because it's an interesting conversation when you think about it. That the way things have changed, right? 10, 15 years ago, maybe the money that's offered in China, or definitely the money that's offered in China, is not the same, right?
Right.
You fast forward now, so now players sort of have to choose. You can make more money in China, or you can try to grind it out and try to make an NBA team. And some other players like Jared Sullinger, they chose China.
Yeah, I think that Sullinger waited, and then it depends on who you are. If you got a family support. Sullinger, I think, just had a baby and he has a family, and so your path is different if you're a single man and you're by yourself instead of a married man trying to get back in this league. And I applaud Isaiah.
That's a good point.
For continue along with his dream, and COVID has helped along with the process. I mean, he played well in the World Games and did well, but at the end of the day, Isaiah wants to be in the NBA where he can compete.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you're saying it like this, why don't you, Josue? Why don't you bring back Ricky Davis?
Hey, man, he's in the big three. Listen, if you're playing in the big three right now, you gotta be. You had to be watching Joe Johnson, thinking, "Look, that could be me."
Well,
maybe that's next for me.
I asked Scal about it. Scal was in the big three for a while. I asked him, "Do you have anything?" Scal, now you start laughing.
No, listen. No. The only reason I'm laughing, Max, hear me out. I was running late to the game, and I'm listening to you, and you brought it up. You brought it up before the first quarter, or during the first quarter, and you were like, so I talked to Scal about it, and Scal, you said it perfectly. Scal goes, "Nah, man, can't do it. No legs." And your perfect response goes, "Oh, okay." It's like you just left it at that. I got you. It's like that was it. Like that's all. Enough said. Like he can't do full court no more. So he's strictly big three. And then you and Grandy, I swear, man, you guys have the chemistry down. That perfect pause for emphasis, and then Grandy goes right into the game. Oh man, I was cracking up, man. So yeah, I'm glad I got to listen to that on the way in. And yeah, that was perfect. You paint the picture perfectly. He's not in it for the full court run.
I can understand what he's saying, but I don't think that we would have ever thought that Joe Johnson, we'd see him in the Celtic uniform again.
Right.
I don't think anybody, even your wildest imagination, what's going on with COVID. It's taken so many guys out. And
Max, your eyebrows definitely went up when you heard that news.
Yeah, well, Boston now there's something that Boston has about players who are playing here or not playing here, about being vaccinated. We'll see what happens. I mean, everything right now is so fluid that I don't know, what could possibly happen.
Well, how do you feel about that? Like Ime making that decision? Because I thought it was interesting. One of the first questions that was fired at him was, why not a younger guy? Why not someone from the G League? Why did you go in this direction? And another question was, did you have a workout with him? And Ime said, nope, no workout. We just brought him in.
Well, I think that Ime was satisfied that he could still play in some capacity because he saw him in the 3-on-3,
mm-hmm.
big three.
The big three.
And because of that, the game, the skill set, now, if you can run up and down the floor, if you know how to handle a pick and a roll, if you are athletic enough to guard a wing guy, Joe Johnson wasn't a bad defender when he was running.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't a bad defender.
Because his lateral movement, he was key. His lateral movement was always key, yeah.
He still can score the basketball. There's a place in the NBA for that now.
It's incredible. I love it. I love the story. All right, Max, what's the plan this weekend? What's going on? It's Christmas weekend. Saturday, Christmas Day. Perfect. Don't get no better than that, right?
Look, I don't think it gets any better than that. I think that I'm waiting right now, and if you guys haven't hit that like button or subscribe to where we're at, you're kind of crazy. But I think some of the things that are coming up with us is like you and I are talking about a reveal, and we see all these song reveals. This is going to be the 80s versus the 2000s.
Let's
Some
go.
of the reveals that Josue has and that I
didn't even tease it. I love you teasing this right now. This is great.
Yeah, they're going to be absolutely, like, I'm old school classic. Josue is Alien Ant Farm with Billy.
No, he's not. Get out of here. No, whoa, not 90s alternative. A little mix of that. All right. Put it this way, Max. We're gonna be playing some of our guilty pleasures, if you will. You know what I mean? Everyone's got that genre or those artists that you only play when you're by yourself. You don't play in front of your boys all the time and whatnot. And but Max, you don't have any of those though. You don't have it. You stick to who your roots, and you listen to what you listen to.
I'm rooted in it. I mean, I am about as old school as I get. I go with Charlie Wilson from the Gap Band.
Yeah, but you're not hiding Charlie from your boys, right? Like, who do you?
No, who would I hide from my boys?
You bumping like Celine Dion on the low? You bumping like you listen to like
probably Darius Rucker from Hootie and the Blowfish.
When you went country?
I'm with it. And it's so funny. I saw him in Charlotte. I saw him in Charlotte and walking through the airport. And I don't think that many people recognize him, man. And I don't know why I had him on my playlist.
You recognize this
motherfucker? I said, Darius. And he turned around and looked who was calling him. I didn't even say anything. And he just kept, and then he couldn't figure it out. And then he kept walking. But I thought that was funny. So
because he was like, I know, you know why though? He was, I know it wasn't that black dude. I know.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, that probably is true. But it's just like those would be the ones I think that for me that might be a little different when it came to selections of my music, which are not from my particular era, not a Luther Vandross, not a Frankie Beverly and Mays, and not a Kim, people like that. But out of my era would have been something like that, like Hootie and the Blowfish, and not even Hootie and the Blowfish. Be more like Darius Rucker when you went country.
Yeah, when you went country, that's a whole different vibe. You got to pull up with those then. You got to pull up with that record too. We're going to do all that.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one that has been revealed over and over again, and I hope you've heard it, we're going to do Chris Stapleton.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, we talked about that.
Tennessee Whiskey.
That's right. You sent that one.
And the live version of that, Josue, if you haven't heard that, you're going to be on it. You're going to go.
Oh, we're going to find out.
That white man got some soul.
All right. I'm going to get you some gems too.
He might be Larry Bird of country music when you think about having some soul in this game.
Okay, I want to hear it. You know what? I'm gonna put together some gems for you. Some stuff that's right up your alley that you don't know about. You'll be surprised, Max. I'm all that.
You went with some of the names you told me before. That was enough for me. When you went with Red Hot Chili Peppers, I'm like,
yeah, that's a vibe.
I don't know a brother around here other than you and your brother that might be listening to damn Red Hot.
Joel knows. Joel's hip. Counting Crows.
There might be the only two black dudes or men of color that I know that you could go. What's on your playlist? Red Hot Chili Peppers. What? Really?
Yeah, I guarantee you rock to some song, but you don't even know that that's the Chili Peppers. See, that's the thing with you, Max. I guarantee there's some song that you just don't know that you don't know that.
I love Josue. The only way I've listened to some of the songs you're talking about right now is because they play them in the arena.
Yeah, Boston. You're in Boston. That's why.
Or during the game. That's the only way I know. The dance team will come out and dance to something. I'm like, whoa, who is that? And they go, oh, that was. And you said something the other way. Get in the way. What is that song?
Oh, give it away. Yeah, they play that.
I heard the dance team do it, but that's about it. But I would go. You know what? I might even say I'd rock a little bit of Kanye West. I could go with some of the stuff that Kanye West is doing.
He's one of my favorites.
As crazy as he is, and as out there as he is, there's things that I really like about Kanye West. But it's more about Kanye West sampling music which came out of the 80s. Yeah, that is. I think that's why. Because his sampling of Ray Charles to me. That to me was just brilliant, and I loved it.
I'm gonna give you some gems too. He did a couple great samples of Otis Redding. I'm gonna put you on, man. It's good stuff. Him and Jay-Z. But yeah, man, we're gonna have a blast with that. That's funny you mentioned those artists. But yeah, I went to school in the burbs. All right, I went to school in the suburbs. So you gotta, you listen to some shit you wouldn't normally hear in the hood. That's what it was. That's what that is.
There is no question about your musical variety, which really changed going out in the burbs to a white school. The music that you were introduced to, and because it's like, would you, for instance, say you were in a group of brothers down and you lived over in Dorchester, Mattapan, and you were playing records on and I'll say it, records on the jukebox. Would you play Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Nah, I ain't dropping that.
And you think everybody, if Red Hot Chili Peppers came on, you think everybody go, what? Who played that? And you better say it was me.
Within 2 seconds, turn that shit off right now. I know that was Josue. Take that shit back to New York, motherfucker. I get clowned. Oh, that would be so funny. So yeah, I do understand. You know what we used to do, Max? What we used to do back in the day when you really wanted to know somebody? Like, yo, if you really comfortable enough, switch iPods with that dude, right? Back in the day, right? Before iPhones, you find out every type of genre this dude's into, or girl, whatever. You really want to get to know somebody, you swap iPods with them, and you find out everything they listen to.
Yeah, that is true. One time I remember when you said that. Didn't change iPods, but I was actually playing some music on a disc player, and Marcus Johnson, who was my teammate with the Clippers, put his headphones in his jack into my system and was listening. And I'm just trying to gauge, and he heard some song that was out there, and he went, wow, who is that? Man, that was nice. It was some white guy that was out there that I had just heard of that I just had on my, CD.
See, Max, they make great music too, Max. This is good.
Well, you say that, and I remember going back to UNC Charlotte in the late 70s, and my boys got in the car with me. Half of them were black, half of them were white. It's about 3 or 4 guys. I had this big Lincoln Continental, and all of a sudden, Billy Joel came on. I had a cassette in. Billy Joel came on, and I'm trying to switch it to go to the next song, and they were like, "Oh no, man, let me hear that."
Whoa.
Yeah, who knew? Who knew?
That's funny because sometimes it might be like 1 or 2 dudes and they're afraid to say something. They're like, but in their head they're like, "Damn, go back to that." Go back.
That was damn, man, that was nice. Or
right.
They look at you and going, "You got that in your repertoire?"
Yeah, right. You know about this?
So that's going to be interesting when we come out and do that. I think the next thing we're doing, I want you guys to stay tuned. And if you have any suggestions,
hit us up
of music that you would like us to go out and do a what do they call that? Or it's not a reveal. What is it called? A listen or a reaction. A reaction video to
a reaction video.
Want us to go out and hear, please contact us. We'd like to go through it. We're going to have about 10 or 12 songs that we're going to do that are just going to be, kind of in the middle. Some of them are old classics, but then some of them are a little bit new. And I'm going to try to introduce Josue to a little bit of country western, and Josue might be trying to introduce me to a little bit of, rock and roll and
alternative,
whatever.
90s alternative,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some good
as long as you don't come out and do that group called Rammstein.
Which one was that?
German. It was. I used to see it. They would put it on they were showing them coming to Atlanta, and just on the video screen, a preview of what was coming to the arena. And it was a group directly from Germany. It was one of those past heavy metal. I don't even know what they were doing. Blowing fire and all kind of stuff. But that was one of the things I remember.
Sounds awful.
That is something I would not listen to. And anything, and Josue, how about this? Anything that you have, you can do a mosh pit to.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah, I used to ask people who were into that. I'd be like, "Yo, how do you know when the song switches up? Like, it's just noise. Like every song is just there's no chorus, there's no, there's no hook. It's just noise, and this dude's screaming the whole time. Like, yeah, I'm with you on that. You won't be listening to any of that for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to everyone join us post Christmas. I'm sure everybody still be on break from work, and we'll jam out. Cedric Maxwell podcast style, CLNS media style. It'll be fun, man. I can't wait. But Max, Merry Christmas, man. To everyone, happy holidays to you and yours, man. I hope everyone has a great time, great safe holiday. Spending time with your friends and family, man. That's what it's all about this time of year.
Yep, absolutely. Want all you guys to stay safe, stay
Definitely.
tuned. Join us on our podcast adventure. We hear from you guys, and it only makes us stronger. So hit that subscribe button and
Absolutely.
hit that like button, and we're only going to get stronger. I mean, I've laughed, with so much of this podcast stuff, and the James Worthy, coming at me and on podcasts. That to me, all that stuff was funny. But I always tell people you got to be relevant for somebody to use your name and not have a reference.
That's right. We're still out here. Everyone, subscribe, rate, review, obviously on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to us, man. We appreciate it for sure. And we'll check you guys out next episode. Happy holidays, everyone.